Okay, here with Steph Bruce 2 days before London Marathon. You know, how is training going? How are you feeling going into the race?
Yeah, training's been going really well. I'd say it's been one of my best build-ups, but we always like to say with the marathon, it's not necessarily the last 7 or 8 weeks that you did, but it's more the last 6 months and the last 12 months and 18 months. And I've been healthy for the last 2 years after coming off my last pregnancy. So yeah, I have health on my side and fitness on my side, so I just have to put it together on Sunday.
Yeah. And have you added anything new or different for this build-up compared to some of the ones? You know, you ran New York, you ran pretty well there in the fall. Is there anything new in this one?
Not really, because when we got ready for New York, we did a lot more hill training, and so we actually changed or added things in there. And then for this one, we knew it was such a flat, fast course that we just tried to do a lot of rhythm running, a lot of flat running, and just steady pace. And yeah, I think it's just been that accumulation from, you know, I'm stronger because of New York's build-up going into London's build-up. So nothing really changed.
Gotcha. And you've run several races already this year, a couple half marathons, and then US Cross, you were third there. I mean, what are you thinking on their results? Were you happy with those performances?
I was. I think when you do marathons back to back, which probably for the rest of my career I want to become, you know, a 2 or 3 marathoner a year. Sometimes you can get stale. You know, if you look at like Desi and Shalane, they both took off marathons before their big races. So instead of doing that for me, I think just going back and doing shorter races and almost doing the training that you have to get ready for 10Ks and halves can kind of break up that monotony of marathon training. So yeah, we were really pleased because it wasn't really about time this early spring or late winter. It was more about competing, and I feel like I got out of that what I wanted in those races.
Yeah, I mean, US Cross in particular, the 2 women you lost to were 10K specialists. You know, Emily Infeld and Molly Seidel are both, like, you know, really great at that distance, and, you know, coming into a marathon, that must have given you some confidence that, you know, you can still hang with some of these 10K women.
It does, and it was funny, after US Cross, Molly turned around and she's like, "Steph, who are you?" But Molly's so young, and she like rents a room from her house. I'm like, "Well, Molly, I used to be good at running, you know, it's okay that I was that close to you."
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, one, to be a great marathoner, you have to be great at all other distances. I might not be competitive on the world scene in the 10,000, but I still need to be able to hold my own in order to translate that to, you know, fast times in the marathon and competing on the world stage in the marathon. So, you know, being able to lose by 20 seconds to a world medalist like Emily Infeld, that was like a huge confidence booster.
Yeah,
for sure.
And you know, you've got a few options with spring marathons. Boston's obviously on the table for American marathoners, but you're probably looking, you know, probably feeling lucky you didn't do that right now. Why did you end up choosing London? Yeah,
you know, my PR one is really old. It's from 2011. I ran 2:29 at Houston, and then I had a couple marathons after that the time never came, but I felt like my performances backed up my time. I was third at Honolulu in 2012. I ran 2:32, but that was the year Wilson Kipsang ran 2:12 there. So not that you can like say, "Oh, well, Wilson Kipsang ran 2:12 there, that's got to be worth a lot." You just kind of know it is. And then my last 2 marathons after having kids, I was second at CIM in 2:32, and then running in New York 2:31 and being 10th. The times haven't come, but I know it's there, and I know like a PR is underneath me, and so we felt like London over the years, there's just not that many variables, and it's historically very flat and fast.
Yeah.
And so I was hoping to just come here and be able to kind of have steady conditions where I'd be able to take a crack at a PB.
Yeah, well, I think you've got probably the top 5 or so women's times in history. Well, most of them were run on this course. So
yes.
That's good. Do you have a specific time goal in mind you want to hit?
You know, I have an idea that I'm in better shape than I've ever been, and for sure in PR shape. You know, I know it's going to be a little warm, so I'm taking that as a factor. I'm not married to a time, but I really just want to compete over the last 10K, and I want to bridge the gap between, you know, the top half of the field that we have a handful of very good East Africans with 2:23 or better. So I just, as an American, I want to bridge that gap and make that gap smaller. And being 10th in New York, I would just like to improve upon a major marathon finish and crack into the top 10 and top 7, you know, would be a really great day.
Yeah, I think some of those women are going to be going out crazy fast. Is there a group that you think you're going to be able to run with? Or?
Yeah, so it is essentially with them going for the world record. It's 2 different races, and it's hard because I'm not going to be in that front group, and so you could say I'm not in that race, but it all comes down to where you finish, you know, not where you are with 10K in. So I think we're going to go with the 228 group, and then hopefully I have more in me and can really squeeze it down that second half, and try to chase down maybe some carnage that happens up front over the last half of the race.
Sure. Yeah. And what are your thoughts? Do you think either Katani, Dababa, do you think either of them had a shot? Is the world record going down?
I mean, it's a pretty stiff record, and it's a tall order. I think for records, you have to have so many things go right on the day. The weather has to play on your side, just how you feel. And so I think pacing is going to be really important for them, but also them being together. If they ended up racing, that could change a little bit of their tactics, and maybe they go at each other a little more. I don't know. If you're asking like real predictions, I think it's pretty unlikely that record is broken, but they're probably going to put on an amazing performance, and I could still see them running maybe under 217 if they're really racing each other, but it would take a really, really perfect day, I think, to run the world record.
Yeah. So when I ran into you yesterday at the hotel, you mentioned you had to go to anti-doping right then. I'm kind of curious. I know that, you know, post-race drug tests are fairly standard, but like, what's the process at a World Marathon major with like beforehand? Can you sort of walk me through what you had to do yesterday?
Yeah. So this was the first time at a major that I've done like blood draw before, which I like because this is for me starting my biological blood passport, and so now like IAAF will have a record of what my numbers are, and so then they can look over my career if that changes or fluctuates. So they basically check you in, and these 2 really wonderful British ladies, one was a phlebotomist and the other one kind of just runs you through a series of questions. They ask you things like, have you come from altitude? And I do live at altitude. And they just ask you, have you competed in the last few days? And then you have to sit in a chair with your feet on the ground for 10 minutes before the blood draw. That was kind of interesting. I didn't know the reason behind that. I don't know if they just want everything really steady. Yeah, and then they take a very small amount. I think it was 5 milliliters. Took that out, asked me a couple more questions. They were very thorough, you know, showed me my numbers with the bottles, matched that up, put it together, and then that was it.
And so you were just randomly selected, or is this like, does everyone have to do this?
I'm pretty sure they have everyone, because when you check in and get your bib, they say, can you sign up for a time? So that was a little different, where they don't randomly grab you, but the great thing about blood is blood's been in there for a while. So you want to think you can't cheat the system if you're getting your blood drawn, even if it is like, you know, the time that you're being drawn. So that's encouraging in my opinion.
Yeah. So you didn't have to do that for New York last year?
I didn't do blood. No. Okay. Some people were, I believe, randomly picked. Okay. Yeah. So I don't know if it's just different from one major to another, but this was like systematic. You sign up for a time and you get that.
And then Boston last week, did you get a chance to watch that? Thoughts on the race, thoughts on Desi's win?
Yeah, I did watch it. We had 2 teammates in it, so it was kind of mixed emotions. Kellen Taylor, she unfortunately had to drop out with hypothermia around 12 or 13, but then our teammate Scott Smith, he was 6, so he had a great day, battled the conditions. My coach told me, you know, last week, he's like, when you're going to watch Boston, you have your race coming up, just be mellow, but I was crying and running around our living room and like jumping up for Desi. I've competed against her for the last decade, and you know, people sometimes use the word like she deserves it. Like, I don't like that word. She earned it. Like, she earned that win, and it's been a long time coming for her. And I think with American women distance running, we're all just elevating each other, and as all the women were citing, it's like a win for all Americans for one person to win. So it's super encouraging, and now knowing how well we're doing at majors, it fuels my fire and gives me a lot of motivation to like keep carrying that torch on. Yeah,
I know. American women have won, what, 2 of the last 3 majors? Yeah. Pressure's on you to keep it going.
Right? I was like, guys, don't call it a failure if I don't win on Sunday. You know, I'm going to try to stick my nose wherever I can late in the race, but yeah, so it's cool.
All right, well, thank you for the time, Steph, and good luck on Sunday.
Thank you.